Let's do it indeed. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Blue Abroad show. It's the long weekend, kind of. It's the 6th of November, 2023, Monday night. I'm here. Pommy's here. Good evening to you, mate.
Good evening. A little bit sun-kissed because the legends at Carlton Pride got me out of my cave yesterday into the scorching hot sun. Shared a few alcoholic beverages with yours truly, Mr. Terry Degani.
Yeah, it was good, mate. We did get a little sun-kissed. We did get down to Icon Park. Funnily enough, got you down to a game, mate. The myth that is Pommy at a game. Could you believe it?
Mate, got out of my cave. My cave, my creature comforts. Night was good. Got to hang with the beautiful and ever-essent Steph Degani and Kira. The small in stature but not in heart, Ari Stamanakos. We had a pretty good time, didn't we? And then we got to meet some lovely people at the Pride function. Dave Gould, it was great to see him. Robs, Shannon Gall. Yeah, there was Nick Wishart. There was the full shebang, wasn't it?
Full shebang. No, it was. We will touch on it. We will touch on that because I think left with a sour taste in my mouth, if I'm being honest, because of the performance. We were there to watch the football first and foremost. We will touch on the AFLW towards the end because that was the last game of the season. Going to recap the news, and then I've added something in last minute that I haven't told you, but we're going to go and have a really early look at the best 22.
Oh, jeepers.
And we're going to go through it together live tonight. Just do a little activity. But firstly, good evening to everyone. Peter Hayward's here. Oh, Peter. Said this to Peter when I was doing the Carlton People episode with him. Peter's was 95, number 95. Took 95 episodes to bring me to tears. That was the one. That was a beautiful story. And if you haven't watched the Carlton People episode with Peter, please do, because that was, I think that really captured the essence of what the community is and what it does.
One of the most beautiful human beings I've ever had the privilege of meeting doing this is Peter. And it was a very touching thing. I'd love to say it's the first time I've cried on this show, but I've done it a few times. So the stigma's already been broken with Bob.
We've softened you up, mate. It's good. So that was great. We also just did one with Ur. Those of you who are here on the channel, you know Ur. You know who Ur is. And we got to finally meet him. So that's awesome. I will put a call out at the end of the show. If there is anybody that would like to sit and share their Carlton story and have a little piece documented on the channel, please get in touch. We'll talk about it a little later in the show, and you can just reach out to me and we can organize them. We filmed 11 of them last week, so they'll just start coming out every day. But look, let's start with the week that was. Hey, M Funky, welcome to
fellow Yorkshireman in the house.
Oh, wow.
Up the Yorkie boys.
Love that for us. We'll start with Elijah Hollands, and I think it'll wrap up the Elijah Hollands story. Saga, we'll call it. Yeah. So just to recap what actually happened, it was last Tuesday he actually appeared before the Southport Magistrates Court. He pleaded guilty to one charge of drug possession. The most important part of all of this is, it's done. It's behind us now. No conviction. That was important. And that's something that'll stick with you for life, and that can really impact your future prospects in a variety of ways. But I think what we spoke about here on the show last week, I think maybe the week before as well, is, and I was really curious to see footage of him leaving the court. And I saw exactly what I was hoping to see in a really weird way. And that was you could just see the discomfort in his eyes, that, it was just that crossroads moment. I never want to be here again. And I think that's hopefully going to serve as the kick up the arse that he needs to, get himself fully professionalized.
If Elijah is watching, unfortunately, young man, the lessons never stop coming at you as well. You just learn to make more mistakes and handle them better. But I agree with you. There he was, young man, tie shoddily put together.
Yeah, we'll work on that as well. We need I did see the half wins or not. We'll work on that.
you could tell it was a suit he'd just purchased a couple of nights before as well. But I think one of the big things for me is watching Elijah and following him through his coming the draftee. To see him do his hair said the level of where he was. And you know what? God bless him. Like he's got to do some redemption now. He's served his time. Do you know what I mean? He's done the punishment. He's been slapped on the wrist. Now it's time for us, the club, the boys, to get around him and put the best available situation for him to hit the training track running and be ready when he's called upon and pay the faith back. And good move by the club. We discussed it when we signed him, saying that it wouldn't be the same deal, but you'd imagine there's a caveat. Great to see that there was a caveat as well to say to him that the 3-year deal goes down to 1 because of these. And now you're going to have to earn your next contract. So fantastic motivation for him. And let's all get behind him now and hope he becomes an asset for the club, because that story in itself is going to be incredibly important when we come to draft people in 5 years' time. Having Elijah there who's made a balls up, to be honest, let's be honest. Get him in the right frame of mind. We've got some wonderful, mature players then, haven't we? Charlie Kerner can talk about his indiscretions and bad decision-making. So can Elijah. And we've got a real strong culture there that's learnt from the culture, more importantly. So good luck to Elijah, and can't wait to see open day, kicking snags and looking preen.
Absolutely. So just on that, so the contract, he was in the middle of a 3-year deal. And is it because of the charges or the charge? Is it because of that his contract was like rescinded? Like, I'm not exactly sure what the mechanism was to actually bring that deal back to a 1-year deal. Like, was his contract essentially terminated and then re-signed on a 1-year deal?
I'd imagine it would have been a conditional contract. So you see these quite a bit in soccer as well.
Yeah.
There'll be conditions on that deal in the terms of if you are convicted, we've got like a get out clause. I'd imagine this would have been one of them cases of, if it does go to court, dependent on what the sanctions are, 1 year. If it's totally thrown out, you will get 3. So I'd imagine that that's what Carlton have done to cover it. And to be fair, he's got off fairly good. We've got to remember there was a certain gentleman called Tyson Stengel who was in a very similar predicament. And if you remember that, he was fined $1,600 for drinking offences, alleged speeding, if you remember what it was. And then they found personal use on him. And remember, he ended up he couldn't play Sandful. He was playing country football. So there is previous for this can go downhill quickly. So a good choice by the club, and now he's got it all to play for, hasn't he? He's been shamed, probably in the worst possible way. I can't imagine. As a human being, I've got no time for this public shaming and stuff. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like he has been dragged through pillar to post, like Clayton Oliver, like everyone else has been. He's now got it all to prove. This time next year, he could be looking at a 2-year shiny brand new deal, played finals football, living the dream with his brother, and he'll never look back. So it's all to play for him. What better motivation to, after a fuck up, really, to have this?
Yeah, it's a good point.
I agree with Davey as well. He did look a little bit. I'd never say he looked chunky. I would be the biggest hypocrite in the world, but he did look slightly out of kilter. So I don't know if that's something that's been long standing with him, but hopefully he hits the training track. He's got an incredible engine.
Yeah. Well, Hollands had a year left. We offered an additional 2 years prior to knowing about the charges, then withdrew the extension. Okay, that's interesting. Chills has a Carlton Football Club duffel coat. Unsure if it's genuine. Could either of you gents point me in the right direction for authenticity? Is there anyone in particular at the club? I have no idea, mate. But if there's anybody in the chat that would know what to do with this, please get in touch with Chills. Chills, I think just reach out to the club. I think that's the move.
Or Tony Del Bolfo.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. He'll know.
Tony does put lots of pictures up of authentic Carlton merchandise and stuff, so I'm sure he could point you in the direction of a legitimate authenticator.
Mm-hmm.
Have I just made a word up there?
I think you just did.
Right.
Very good.
It's like, does not compute. That one.
All right. Now, next up, it was made official. We had to wait a few more days. I think it was 2 days longer than what we had anticipated. But Orazio Fantasia is officially at the club. The 2-year deal is enacted. He's arrived. He's sent through his welcome video. That was interesting. Looks like he was still filming with 3G. I don't know what was going on there. But, yeah, a nice addition. And I think the talking point of the addition, we can talk about whether or not he's in the best 22 or not. We'll get to that later. But I think what I read about it all happening and how it all eventuated was ultimately his relationship with Michael Voss. And of all the people I thought we might be able to bring to the club due to the Michael Voss relationship at Port, Orazio was not the one I had high on my list. I was thinking maybe like a Zach Butters type. Nonetheless, this is the first time I remember such an event happening where we get a player and the coach is the driving factor to luring him away from somewhere else that he was going to go. So what did you make of that?
Well, it's as rare as rocking or shit for Carlton to keep a deal behind closed doors, isn't it? After what we've been used to for 5 years, genuinely, we have a blimp going around CBD saying Carlton are after this guy. So that one came left field. That was good to see. 2 takeouts for me with Orazio. One, obviously, he needs a place to call home. Orazio is one of them weird and wonderful things. When he said he wanted to move back to South Australia, I didn't quite buy it because it was 2 seconds from memory. Do you know what I mean? 2 seconds that they paid Port, which doesn't strike me as a guy that is probably sure. And at the time, Essendon were churning out players. I feel like he needs a little bit of stability, a little bit of love. He was wonderful in the Sandford back end of last year. And the second takeout for me is Leckdog gave me a load of shit saying his name was Fantasia. And he said it was Fantasia. And I had to apologise. I had to apologise to our Italian community for pomonizing the wonderful language. So you know what? It was Fantasia, Leckdog. Hey, I'm more cultured than you. And guess what? I dip my bread in gravy. Mate, let that sink in. Sort your son out, Lecky.
Love that. Josh talking about how Orazio knows his place in the club. Nothing's been promised. Needs to work for the role. Yeah, that's important. That's important. On talent alone, on ability alone, I really do think in this moment, he's the best of the small forward brigade. I genuinely believe that.
Mate, I don't think many people would disagree with you. I think there's a lot of talk when I've been doing a lot of the draft coverage, a lot of talk about what Carlton need. And like people talk about midfield with pace. People talk about wings. It's genuinely that small forwards that separate the great from where we are. We definitely need a bit more output from them. There's no shadow of a doubt if everyone was fit and healthy, had a full pre-season, had trained well, Orazio's the third, probably the fourth name on Vossi's sheet. It would go in this order. Charlie, Jack, Harry, then Orazio. Without a shadow of a doubt, he'd be fourth. So I think it's twofold, and I think a credit to the club. This time last year, there was a lot of media speculation. You could see that Nick Austin doesn't talk, and this is a really big turning point. We've got rid of a lot of tosh at Carlton Football Club that flirts with the media. Do you know what I mean? We've only got to look at some of the board members who've left recently, who love tittle-tattling and getting things out there, and that's why now we've kind of had the end of my mate walk someone's dog, and I've been told this, because the list management is stum. The list management is stum. And that is a very impressive place to be, because that allows you to punt on these players. Because if this was old days, Carlton are willing to offer a 2-year deal. GWS would have done and Port would have done. Carlton have come, swung through the back, got the deal done. A lot of the rumours and innuendo is pretty much as well that Vossi made the call and said, look, we'll offer you the 2 years that you want. Say yes now, which means it gets done without any chance of negotiation. So great move. And at the end of the day, if you hate the deal, he's better than your last pick in the draft. So huge dub. Huge dub.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited for the
Fantasia,
best case
mate. Fantasia.
Are you claiming him already? Is he going to be?
I have to. They killed Honey, so I need a new Honey. So Fantasia is my new Honey. He's my boy, and it works. Fantasia works.
Fantasia does work. Okay. What about Pom Cotter? Are you just going to throw him to the curb?
No, Pom Cotter's still that. He's still my Pom Cotter will always be the first Pom.
It's funny that the first two are both Italians to become Poms.
Doing my bit for Anglo-Italian relationships. Do you know what I mean? I'm doing my bit. Do you know what I mean? Me and Paolo break bread. We're all joining forces. Do you know what I mean? Joining forces. Proud to have them on board.
Indeed. Azza, Fanta, I like that. He's a great backup. The young Smalls need to see some experience in that department.
Azza gets it as well. Like, you think who they're learning off. It's no surprise the backline has got better, right? They've got some senior heads there. Nick Newman, Adam Sard, Sam Doherty. The midfield seems more reliable now. Doherty's gone there. A mature head. Up forward, there's a problem, isn't there? Because no disrespect to Owies, he's mid-age, right, for a player, but he's not natural at this game. It's mechanical. And that's hard to teach. When you've mechanically learned something, same with golf coaches. Mechanical golf coaches are shocking. Natural ones are good. Same with that. Orazio, what he does is instinctive. He can teach that. And I think someone like, tell you who I look at, I think Motlop doesn't need training. Motlop's got it here. Tell you who does need that? Dirds. And I'm telling you this, I reckon Dirds will watch how Fantasia plays. And he's got that gift of being in the right place at the right time. It's probably his IQ that lets him down, I think, Corey. He gets too invested in chasing.
Mm-hmm.
I reckon a year working with him, asking him questions, picking him brains, like I know Corey does. I've heard from some of the players, he's one of the serial question askers. I reckon a season with him, you look out. I reckon Corey Durden may surprise a few people. Because you've all forgotten about him. Oh, Durds. I know Terry hasn't.
I haven't. I have not.
But everyone's forgot about the Durds dog.
It's got a bit of motivation. I think, yeah. Well, it gets real for players like Durds. It does. It's. I don't think we are at that stage anymore where after 3 or 4 seasons we wait for season 5, 6, 7. It's like you gotta really stake your claim early in the piece. You got 3 or 4 years to stake your claim, and then that's it. You know, we're here to win now. And I think that old adage of, we should have got games into Paulson or should have got games into Honey for development. I think that kind of goes to the wayside now because the time to win a premiership is now for this group.
Mate, just as it's always weird, the door takes longer to open than it does to slam shut. I mean, yes. And before these boys know it, the premiership window will be slammed shut and will be Geelong. Right? Looking at the draft strategy, it says to me Nick Austin is aware of that and not allowing that to happen, which reassures me a little bit. But make no mistake, and Bugsbell's spot on, you can't teach goal sense. Motlop's got that now. Durden had that now and has showcased it at the club as well. Big thing with Durds is not getting too deep. He needs that situation awareness, as does Motlop, a little bit more selfishness. And that's something that I think Fantasia, in his 99 games, has shown. He's always the right place, right time. Right? Yes. It might not have come off, but that's something them two need to learn. That positioning and that discipline, both of Durden more so than Motlop, are guilty of getting bored. The ball's not coming to me. I need to go and find it. And that's bad when you're a small forward because what happens? We get the ball back, we punt it over, ball comes to deck and there's no one there and we're all going mental. So for me, that's a big thing. And Durden and Motlop are always going to be under pressure because it's the easiest position in the league to draft. You can draft small forwards like that. It's amazing around our picks. That's where all the small forwards are. So Always a risk. Do you know what I mean? 1 minute you're cock of the walk, and next minute you're just a big fat cock. Do you know what I mean? That's how quick it changes.
So for Dirds, Michael, this is a good point, mate. The day to win, the time was now after the 95 granny, mate. You were not wrong.
But it's been a fun journey, Michael. We've got to know each other. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
No, so if Dirge is out of contract end of next year, what do you think is a reasonable target for him as a performance ticker to earn another deal? Is it games? Is it goals? Is it both?
I think sometimes we are in a risk of thinking forward pressure is more important than goals. And first and foremost, at the end of the day, goals is the number one leader. Most teams have one pressure forward. So I don't care who that is. The pressure forward, I think it's Fogarty, right? But the problem with Fogarty is he's a bit goal shy, isn't he? At times, he can't Cal's backside with a banjo, God bless him. And I don't think that, back to Bugspell's point, I think that's because he's not a natural forward. Do you know what I mean? He's a midfielder converted into there because of his defensive craft. Dirds does keep them snags. We've seen them wonderful snags off the back of packs in the pockets. And we know he can tackle. He needs to keep that there. And that will then allow Motlop to just be the pure impact play. Because I feel that's where Motlop plays his best football, when he's got more of a free role. And then Fantasia can be that furthest forward small. So for me with Dirds, it's play the whole season. And Motlop or Dirds, for me, have to counsel Owies. Because at the moment, Fogarty and Owies are like two players that, in an ideal world, one player can do that. No disrespect to Owies and no disrespect to Fogarty, but there's a lot of forwards in the league who can average 1.5 forward 50 tackles and a goal a game. That's normal. So one of them needs to displace him, and then we can start being cute and saying, right, you're the Cyril Rioli, you're the Poppy. Do you know what I mean? And trying to have that, if you want similes, like have them. But at the moment, Durden, for me, I want to see consistency with Motlop as well. Both of them they're shit to good. I want to see okay every so often. Them couple of goal assists, them couple of score involvements. That's what they need to get out of them anonymous games. Games.
I don't see why 13 games is the minimum for him, because it would mean he'd have to earn 13 games, not just be given 30. We're not just giving anyone a game these days. But I think if he's playing 13 games minimum for the year and averaging a goal a game, I think Jack Hardy mentioned it here. If he kicks a goal a game but has 2 goal assists, that's very impactful. Something like that. He's got to win a little bit more of the ball, be a little bit more consistent throughout quarters, not fade out as much. I mean, I'm sure he's aware of what he needs to do. It's just a question of whether he does it or not. So,
mate, I mean, spot on. I mean, we need one of these guys to get around the 30 mark. I feel we need 30 goals from the smalls. Yes. And I feel like if you look at last year, Harry was way down, but we know he's not going to stay down, right? Yep. We can presume, right? I think that's a safe presumption. For me, Durden and Motlop need to be saying, we're better than Fogarty, we're better than Owies. We can do this. And Motlop certainly has shown he's very potent. He's potent. Mm-hmm. But now we've got a bit of comp with Fantasia there. I feel like the small forward is the last position you can get gifted a game at Carlton. Now, people are forgetting about Hollands as well. Nick Austin has confirmed will play across high half forward, pinch hit in the middle, which means, Connors is in trouble. Fogarty is in trouble. The two boys that pinch hit in the midfield. So suddenly now there's a little bit of comp there. And I'll tell you what, Hollands, he better be fucking hungry round one. And so should Fantasia, his boss, his old boss, has taken a punt on him. So good luck getting your jobs back, boys, because I've got a feeling that Fantasia will start round one.
We're going to get to it. We are going to get to it. Speaking of round one, will he start round one or will he start round 0? That was the suggestion. That was the latest suggestion. We are struggling for content when we are talking about this. But, well, no, look, it's important.
Believe me.
It's important because it adds a round to the season. The suggestion, we spoke about it midweek last week. Obviously, after the show, it happened. But there'd be an introduction to almost like a split round titled Round Zero. Long story short, the AFL, it looks like they're looking to capitalize on the NRL not being in town and get into Queensland, get into New South Wales, and add a round for a couple of marquee games with big Victorian clubs. I loved today's big headline on foxsports.com.au. AFL's Round Zero fixture plan declared stupid and absolutely ridiculous by a former Docker ahead of the 2024 fixture release later this month. So this was Lee Spur. He says, I've got no problem with the concept of saying, all right, let's get some exciting games to go. What I don't like is Round Zero. I think it's a stupid name. I think it's absolutely ridiculous to call something Round Zero. It counts for points. It's effectively Round One. The season is kicking off. If you want to do some exhibition games, or they can be your preseason NAB Cup games, and call it Round Zero, do that game and then move on to Round One. But Round Zero is ridiculous. Just call it Round One.
Well, I mean, I feel like he's a bit stupid writing that article in the terms of the reason that they've called it Round Zero is because the argument will be, oh my God, what about Round One? And the AFL, because they feel like everyone who buys tickets is an idiot, I go, well, we haven't touched Round One. We've created a new round. You've still got Round One, right?
And you're still playing Richmond.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely ridiculous. It's like changing your kid's cordial to sugar-free and saying it's the same. It's not really. You know what I mean? You've totally lied as a parent. For me, three things that I don't like about this. One, I think the idea of having an additional round makes sense. Eventually, I feel like they're trying to make the fixture list a bit fairer, so they're going to gradually do this, because name me another league in the world that has an even amount of teams and a flawed fixture list that no one understands how the fixture list is played. So the AFL are trying to bail themselves out on that. The one that I don't understand is, and this is no disrespect to people in South Australia, but I've been to Adelaide, right? And Adelaide, I can't think of a bigger footballing town, really, than here, Melbourne. Why they need a gather round is beyond me. Why does Brisbane need a gather round is beyond me. 3 years' time, we've got Tasmania coming. The most logical thing, and this is what makes me love the AFL, because they've done it with the AFLW and they're going to do it with the AFL. They have these wonderful ideas. Someone in a suit comes up with this idea, and then they just go, what we'll do is once it's there, we'll fix it when it happens. They should be doing gather rounds, and I would be all for of Round Zero, but call it something proper, Round 9 or something, and we all fuck off to Tassie, so they get used to the idea of attending games. The AFL's argument will be, stadiums are too small, we won't make money. Well, then my counter to that is, why the fuck are you bringing a team to Tasmania if it's not going to make money? Then, you know what I mean? You've got to get them used to the idea of attending football. The AFL live in this cuckoo world. Oh, well, they go and see the Hobart Hurricanes. That's brilliant. But Hobart has had a team in the state championships for a long wee while, and some wonderful players have come through it. And 2020 cricket is Mickey Mouse. It's 3 hours of your time. So, of course, people are going to see it. So, for me, why are we building up Adelaide? Why are we building up Brisbane? Brisbane's already failed. Let's be honest. Queensland, it's already failed. The Gold Coast experiment is probably one of the worst examples of building a team. And this is what worries me about Tasmania, because people are only going, oh, it's only 2 drafts, Pom. They're compromised. No, it isn't. It's going to be 4 or 5, because the AFL have previous. Draft picks don't work, because then they start panicking about merch sales, right? Right now, we should be focusing on getting Tasmania used to the idea of seeing football. When you guys in the chat get it, it's all about money. Do you know what I mean? It's all about money. Like, I don't mind. I would rather we have Round Zero and we call it Round One, and we be honest and we go, look, we're going to change it up. Why do you need traditional openers? Do you know what I mean? Most other sports, the traditional opener is the champions play the runners-up, or the champions play the new people, right? Just do that, but let's get a clear structure on the fixture first, so we know, if I finish 10th, this is what I'm playing. If I finish 2nd, this is what I'm playing. Let's get that clear first, and then let's get Tasmania built up, because at the moment, that's my fear, that once Tasmania comes, North are still going to be a shit fest. West Coast probably will be, but they're probably too smart to be. It's going to get harder. It's going to get harder, so we need to get this. And you know what? This new CEO and stuff, don't do it. And you know, my third rant, why is NRL at war with AFL? In the UK, the EPL lives in harmony with the Super League, so much so that we have Magic Weekend. Every game in the Super League, our version of NRL, is played in the Millennium Stadium in Wales. The agreement from the English teams is that we don't play any games there, and the Welsh teams play before. So everyone's free. Working together, NRL, no one cares about football, AFL in New South Wales, no one cares about NRL anywhere else. Work together, be in harmony. I don't get it at all. It's just 100% about money, Tyler. It's stupid. Let's be clear.
It is about money, but I mean, so it should be. It's a grow. It needs to grow. It is looking for more ways to commercialize and capitalize. That's not a secret. I'm not really too fussed with that. I think for me, I'm down for changing. If you want to make round 1 the week before and get rid of a preseason game, cool. Go for it. We'll play in Brisbane round 1. Cool. We'll play Richmond round 2. We'll play Richmond at the MCG on a Thursday in round 6 for all I care. Round 0 is just an interesting take. And I think at the end of the day, we're going to find out in 10 days' time. The fixture will come out on the 16th, I think, of November is when it's scheduled to come out. Just on that, what's your take, Pommy, and then those of you watching, what's your take on the AFL keeping you know how they set the fixture for the first 15 rounds and then they finalize the last 8 or 9 rounds? What's your take? Do you have a thought about that? Do you care about it?
I do, yeah. I think it's the most super stupid thing in the world.
Why?
Another sport that does it, Terry, that's actually relevant in the world. Like, you've got to look at AFL. AFL is a condensed market. It's just Australians predominantly. But you should be looking at the other leagues and saying, how do they do it? Every other league in the world opens its fixture list. Every other league in the world, if it has an odd number, Scotland's Premier League, great example. It doesn't have play each other twice. It also splits the league, but everyone knows how that league split works and how everyone will play the back-end fixtures. It's all written down. The AFL doesn't even tell you how the fixtures work, so we don't know who we're playing twice. We don't know if it's a benefit being good, because sometimes teams have got better and had an easier fixture list, like last year. A few sides did. It needs to be clear, and this is what annoys me about the AFL. They make a rod for their own back, and my message to the new CEO and Laura Kane would be, just open it up. Compensation. Open the formula up to the world. Do you know what I mean? The salary cap. We don't have to know how much the players are, but why don't we have a total spend? So it's all open. It's all open. No one needs to know figures. But then again, my next question is, why do players need to hide how much they're earning? Because no other sport does. Everyone's okay. We know they're earning boatloads of cash. You know what? I will actually think the money they're on is pathetic compared to other sports. So I'll probably be petitioning to earn more. And Christian's right. Why is it why is it not transparent? Why is it not transparent? Why can't we open it up? All these things, this is what happens. If you finish 15th, you play the bottom 4 times twice. And everyone would be like, okay, that's fair. Carlton haven't got an easier fixture. Collingwood hasn't got an easy fixture because the rules are rules. At the moment, everything looks Fugazi. It's all smoke and mirrors. Round 0, but we're really making it round 1. But some of you old guys will cry if we take Richmond off you. But we don't. You still have it in round 1. We just now have a new 0. Stop treating us like kids, AFL, and just tell us the truth. We'll be all right.
Yeah, we'll get over. Well, that's. I think Jack Hardy wrote this. So let's just say we go ahead with round 0. My next question is, will you still watch it?
Yeah, of course we will. But that's the problem.
Yeah. I think no matter what happens, we will still watch it. We will adapt. We will move on, and we will fight to live another day and watch another season. So
it just pisses me off. I don't understand why they're so secretive about it. This is football. It's kicking a pigskin through a big fucking pole in the ground.
Yeah,
it ain't the CIA. No one's gonna die. No one really cares. At the end of the day, our lives go on. So why is it so secret, Squirrel? With the fixtures, with the compensation picks. Just tell us what it is, and yes, we might complain, but at least then no one's going to go, oh, Michael Christian loves Collingwood, so that's their rules. Like, we'll just be like, okay, they're the rules. If you don't like the rules, complain about the rules, but at least they're the rules. It's like someone makes it up on the fly, Terry. They do. In fact, I reckon if they let me into boardroom, they're just making shit up on the fly, brother. Absolute on the fly, ad hoc.
Well, you got to add things to your experience and to your CV. So, imagine the spitballing of the ideas that goes on.
Anyway. I reckon it would be like when sometimes at Christmas you have a family member who gives your 8-year-old $50, and God bless Zane, but he's very particular. Zane changes his mind 100 times. So I reckon it'd be like that, watching Zane trying to work out what you're spending 50 knicker on.
Wood with the 80 says, relieve the family, enjoyed the Carlton people interview. Thank you. Mate, thank you. It's great to finally meet. Well, I've met you, but great for everybody else to actually see you. That was awesome. One more question as it just came to me. So expansion's happening.
The AFL?
This might get you going. I don't know. The NBA just have introduced the in-season tournament. I think it's as a means to just sort of boost engagement in the early parts of the year. But it got me thinking, as we expand the number of teams in the league, do you think we will expand finals to top 9, top 10? It's been top 8 when we had 16 teams, I believe. We're about to have 20 teams. Is that right? No, 19 teams. Do you think that will open up the door for maybe one more team in finals, or maybe a 8th to 10th playing some sort of mechanized tournament to make the finals? Do you think that might happen?
Well, I mean, one thing's for sure. Fuck me. The AFL must be shocked that they told the NBA teams in July 2022 to prepare for this and then confirmed it July the following year. Like, AFL would be like, what, you gave the teams a year and a bit? We just do it the night of the game. Do you know what I mean? Mate, it's happening. Whether you like it or not, there is going to be some Mickey Mouse knockout competition.
Like a wild card.
Yeah, it's happening. I mean, estimated by 2040, only the wooden spooners won't get a chance at playing finals. I mean, do I like it? No. Do I think the game's got to adapt? Yes. Do I think that there is a point in the season about round 18 teams start to give up? Yes. Would it be nice if that didn't happen? Yes, maybe. Is there ways to negate it without just adding different things? Probably. Probably making a draft lottery and things like that would probably enable that a little bit so there's something to play for. For me, I think it's logical that we will have 20 sides. I don't think that will be close, though, because I think you're probably looking at about 20-40 for a 20th side, but 20 would make sense, wouldn't it? Because then suddenly we could have a league where potentially people have a streamlined system. This is a great one by Mark, though. Why is the prelim final the semi-final? Yeah. Semi-final means 4 teams left, not 6. That might shock some people.
Straya.
Like, honestly, when I did my preview for the prelims, the amount of people who were like, Pam, the semi-finals were last time. And I'm like, okay, look, it was a Freudian slip. To me, that is the semi-finals, 4 teams left, because 4 becomes 2, which thus becomes a final. Semi-final, yeah. Mark, maybe you, me, and Bugs Bell. The AFL pay for us for beers. We'll just meet once a month. We'll fix it.
I was talking to some Canadians recently, and I was like, "Oh, you're telling them, my team, they got through to the preliminary final," and they're like, "What is that?" Prelim does sound cooler, Lockie. I agree. The prelim does sound cooler. It's got a little bit more mystique to it. But anyway,
so does the league and its rules.
Back to the point.
What a mystique.
Back to the question: if we get, we're going to have 19 teams shortly. Let's just stick with 19 teams. Do you think we will have like a wild card for like teams that finish between 7 and 10? Or do you just think we add a 9th team to the finals? I don't even know if that would work. And then you reward the top team.
I reckon in the bye, at some point, they'll have like 7 plays 8, 9 plays 10.
Yep.
Or 7 plays 10, 8 plays 9. Or something ridiculous like that. And then they go through and they play an extra game. And then after 10 years, we'll have a statistic where only 1 team from 8th has ever won the flag. 0% of 9, 10, 11 will just be like, oh, well, cool. We just basically filled in a gap in the bye round. Way.
Yeah.
Yay, capitalism.
Well, it's all about the broadcasters, mate, giving them more opportunities for sponsorship opportunities. So anyway, it's interesting. It's all we're going to find out. Give it 10 days. We're going to find out the fixture for the first 15 rounds, and then we'll go from there. Now, next up is maybe we should let's do this.
Loving you.
Let's do a very preliminary. See what I did there? Best 22. Let's have a look at it. I'm going to share my screen in a minute, and we're going to do it together. This is a great function, by the way. A great function thanks to our friends at Zero Hanger. Great friends. How do we start this? If you were the coach, who's your first pick player? Open slate. First pick player on the team, and where?
Charlie Kerner.
Full forward?
Nah. I want him at centre half forward, and we put Harry at full forward, but I'll be overruled by chat. So Charlie Kerner full forward.
All right, fine. I would then go Wiedering fullback.
It would be between them two. They both be an indelible marker on mine with Cripps.
Yeah, just start.
I'd have the spine done.
Yeah. So we'll just put Cripps. We'll just start right there. Is that fair? And there's your first. There's your first.
Yeah,
three.
that never change as well throughout the year unless something happens.
Yep. Well, do you then go Harry or Walsh? Doesn't really matter.
What? I can't have favourites, Terry. I'd probably have Walsh at this stage. I mean, I feel like our four most important players are locked in.
Yes. And then Walsh as a follower. Get him on there.
Yep.
Now, this is where I go Marchbank, but I don't know what you all do. Who is the number 2 to Jacob Wiedering's number 1 as like our key post?
Kemp.
Doc. Kemp?
Kemp and Marchbank. I mean, Kemp and McGovern for me. But yeah, Voss has already told you that he likes playing 4 medium talls and toes.
Okay, so who is this? Who's the centre half
McGovern.
back? Is it... Okay.
McGovern or Kemp, but I'd prefer Kemp and McGovern playing the loose role. I think Kemp's been remarkable last year.
All right. Wow. Brody. We've got to get Doc in here. Is it fair to say that Doc will start being named here next year?
I'm just looking at my sheet for 22. I don't want to break it to him, but I actually started Doc on the wing.
Okay. Yeah, let's put him on this one.
We know like Voss likes to start him on the wing on the team sheet.
Yeah. McGovern, is he on the flank or in the pocket?
I like him coming from that back pocket, intercepting.
All right, McGovern.
But they're going to interchange throughout the game because that's what Voss likes to do. It confuses them.
Of course. Yes, of course. So right now, the order of who gets named doesn't really matter. It's just about getting them on the park. Akers, pretty straightforward. This is his wing.
Blakers.
Yep.
Who else is going to spoil it on the line?
True. Chera, we'll put him here. We know that he'll definitely be in.
Yeah.
Who's the first ruck? Who's number 1?
Thomas.
Tom? All right.
Choo-choo. Halfbacks are easy. Newman, Sard, and Zach Williams running down the wing.
True. So Williams in the pocket? Or...
Yeah, because he's replacing Chincotta and Boyd, isn't he, at first? Right. So we're going to play in there. Newman, Sard.
And Nick Newman. Okay.
Newman can go back pocket if we're playing a lockdown row. If not, we want to play that. I mean, look at that there. Already that's tasty. Flag win inside there.
We don't need to name any more players.
Yeah, fuck it. They are. Well, and then they won the flag. See ya. Enjoy.
Okay. Jack Martin, I feel like will be named on this team.
Yeah, 1,000%. J. Matt Walkup.
Half forward. Where is he? Jack Martin. Oh, they haven't got the new boys here.
All right, stop. Well, we'll just put someone.
We'll just
For
anyway.
one more time, you can put Honey and Dow, and they can be different players.
Okay. Motlop. Okay. Who? No.
I reckon
everyone's available.
Everyone's available based on form. Fogarty will be there for the pressure, I reckon.
You think?
I reckon that would be Fogarty, Fantasia, and Owies, Motlop on the pine.
Wow. Let's just unpack this. What about Cottrell? Cunningham.
As much as I love Cottrell, I would say Binsey playing half forward in the VFL, then floating back to the wing, which is what Cottrell does. Elijah Hollands coming in. I would say that's one of the positions that's unfulfilled. And I feel like the next question we've got is, do we go too tall for? Do we do Pitternet, JSOS, and TDK? We won't do. They'll do one of them. So for me, Fantasia and Motlop and Fogs.
Okay.
I'm willing. Always will be in with a shout. I just feel in the preseason they're gonna give you something different.
Let's go, Jesse. This half forward, is that a Cottrell? I feel like he's just.
I could see him being, because they're extending it to 5, the interchange. I could see Cottrell being there, and he's the Swiss Army knife. Perfect role for him.
Yep.
I just feel that the starting, you're going for your best bang for your buck players.
Okay.
Adam, Adam, I know you're Dow's number one fanboy. I wasn't having a pop at Dow. I was just saying, for one more time, Dow can be the new players.
Okay. I'm going to put Pitto on the bench.
So we're going 2 rocks, Pitternet, okay?
I think I'm going to make an executive decision that George Hewitt will be in the team.
100%.
Okay. I'm just trying to get the certainties on.
So you've got the midfield rotations covered now, because Zach Williams is there. That throws another one.
Yeah.
So based on that, bet your abs to the barn dance. Cottrell, Elijah Hollands. There will be another forward mid rotation, or Fogarty. It'll be one of them because he likes 6 rotations.
I think now is when we get to the point where there's basically 3 to 4. You could argue 3 to 4 spots where it's just not locked in yet.
There's no argument. That's Fantasia.
Okay. I'm with
you.
Fantasia,
Fantasia is Latin for walk up start.
Okay. All right. Let's just say Fantasia is here. Okay. Forward pocket, round 1. That's tasty. That leaves 2. Ollie Hollands. I don't see how he doesn't go up a level. Elijah is here if we want him. And I'm in the Marchbank camp as well, which will allow Zach Williams.
Well, it's tough because we've Cottrell there now, right?
Yep.
With the extra mid rotation, he likes to float someone through the wings. So Doc did do that.
Yep.
You'd imagine Boyd and Pom Cotter, that's one too many smalls. So Ollie's probably there because that gives them the mid-rotation. Doc can go back when needed.
Yep.
Cottrell's the one that I question because I just feel that that's where Voss may be looking at getting someone specialist there.
Okay.
And with the 5th rotation, that makes sense because then he can play all the time. He can play numerous roles. It's tough, this, man. You can make an argument for 8 players and I could counter it.
Yeah.
Even my own arguments, I could break them.
The last spot, I'd be going Marchbank, personally. I'd actually have Marchbank here for Brody Kemp. I've
Can't believe
become
you're
a
doing
simp.
my boy like that.
Yeah, mate. I just think, I've become a simp for Marchie.
Poor Kent. Where's Yorkshire Mark? Mark, help me out, brother. Come on.
Anyway, I think the point of the exercise has been revealed. When you've got 2 spots to pick from, I didn't even mention Cunningham's name in a serious way. Corey Durden, Lockie Fogarty, Elijah Hollands, Caleb Marchbank, Matt Kennedy didn't even say his name. Jack Silvani, Matt Owies. Obviously,
Mate.
This is best case scenario. Everyone's available. We know that things happen. But that's, an early look at the picture. I think Zach Williams coming in really helps with what we were doing. I think there's a bit of a silver lining in having Boyd and Chincotta getting games into them this year to the point where you know that if they're going to play, you can trust them to do a job. Both of them have played in big finals now. But Zach Williams is Zach Williams. Now those 2 become seriously good players for the list. If they're playing in the VFL, that's a really strong backline for us. Mate, this is great. This is awesome.
Mate, and the ideal world is this time next year, Bins, people sleeping on Binsy. Do you know what I mean? Bins has a lot higher ceiling than Cottrell. So, like, this time next year, we could be in a situation where we're saying maybe Doc needs to go back down back, but then what do we do with Newman? Do you know what I mean? Like, providing they all stay fit. Like, I reckon round 1, touch wood, we don't have any injuries, aside from the 2 draftees. And then again, if it's someone like Ashton Moore, he's basically the Fantasia who can kick with both legs and is a natural goal kicker. So he could have a pre-season as well. And we're like, oh, Jesus. So, yeah, we've done this for years, Terry. And I'm going to be honest. I have completely lied to you, chat. I've picked 14 names and I've just dart thrown 8. Because in the bottom of my heart, I disliked them all.
It's so competitive. It's so competitive. There used to be a right answer to this, a general consensus. I don't think
just put Durden in that forward pocket, just so we can have a visual.
Okay.
Just that could be anyone, but even if it is Durden, look at that 18. It's balanced, defends, it can counterpunch. Like, that's a tasty 18. Isn't it?
That is a tasty 18.
Like, if them 18 players lined up round 1, just forget the bench, Richmond, you wouldn't shit yourself. You'd be like, we've got this. Wow. And we can make an argument for 6 players to change. How exciting is that?
It's ridiculous. That's what it is.
Honestly,
ridiculous.
Like, Jesus, you should change that green background to a blue pill. It's getting me hot.
Mm-hmm. We'll do this again every so often. But that's what we're looking at. Okay. Let's go through. Well, can we talk about the AFLW? Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about AFLW.
I went last week. I went to Windy Hill. I left 5 minutes into the third quarter after we were down 42-0. I have felt that since they won their 4th game, which was obviously a good start, and they eclipsed, basically since they eclipsed last year's season without a shadow of a doubt, there has been a scary drop-off in desire, in focus, in execution, in all of the things. And I think Kane Corns was really professional in the way that he criticized Port Adelaide. And I don't think we have had anywhere near enough heat put on us. I was really, really distasteful leaving Icon Park yesterday. I mean, I had a good time with you and like Steph and all of that, but I just hope that doesn't become, there's just a bad taste in the mouth. And I hope it doesn't become what it was with Harford.
Yeah. Like, Full disclosure, I fully love women's sport. It was a passion of mine as a golf pro. I love coaching girls and getting females in because the PGA in the UK is very anti-women, and some of my talented pupils were girls. So it's I was Uncle Pom before I was to you. I look at them and I do feel, just watching the AFLW on a whole this year, we're seeing the negatives of having the extra teams. I know the AFL were very quick to get the 18 teams. I think it's obvious that the same teams have been at the top of the tree for a long time. This equalisation isn't really showing anything. And at the game yesterday, shout out to Dave Gould and the Pride boys, girls, and everyone involved in that. Very welcoming and very colourful as well. It's a shame, though, that the team didn't replicate the effort that was off the field. And structurally and tactically, I remember listening to a soccer coach in the UK and saying that if you start getting girls to play like boys, all you're doing is a disservice to them. And he used the example, if he went and took 11 pub teams out, made them play like Pep, they'd look like they never played the game. And it looks like Carlton have been very intricate, and trying to play a nuanced modern day game where you're looking at Melbourne, it's very old school. Get the ball, get it forward, get it to ground, get something happening, get it in the hot zones. It's a very simplistic system. And it feels like Carlton are trying to do it. And it feels like the AFL has set the girls back. Because this is, with all due respect, I just don't feel like there is a strong enough contingent female athletes ready yet to be at the exposure of professional sport. And I feel like now we're going to have to, I hope people give it a chance, because I can see these girls are working incredibly hard, that they're making massive strides, but you can see the level of class from Mimi Hill, from some of the other players. You can see the level of class. And that is something that we've got to get. And we can only get better if we keep girls together. And we're a team that has lost girls left, right, and centre. And that also hurts. That also hurts the development. They've gone on to stronger franchises, stronger clubs. And that's really sad. And I think Bugs Bell nails it when he says that he loves seeing the girls dominating at the start. They did dominate at the start. And we're probably the worst foundation side there is. Do you know what I mean now? But we were a big brand name. And that is incredibly sad. But honestly, what I saw yesterday was at times deplorable. And I look at the coaches there. Do you know what I mean? Deplorable that you can see that they couldn't execute that game plan. It was way too complex. I would say too complex for some men's top sides as well. Sometimes you've got to straighten it down. And it's sad because there's a lot of effort going into it. And I fear that we've created an environment that's going to take a while to get back to being a positive, conducive environment. And I hope Bucky's the man who can do it, to be fair. Do I think he can? I do get teacher's vibes from him. And I feel like that's what happens in business. You have a dickhead as a boss, and the instinct is to go for someone to the other way. And the intelligent thing to do is go right in the middle.
Yeah. I was endeared back to the W program the way they were playing at the start. Forget the winning. Even in their losses, there was a focus and a desire, a collective desire. And that died last week against the Bombers at Windy Hill. And yesterday was very hard to watch. Like very, very hard to watch at times. And I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do to bring more people to the game next season. This was the second time this season that I've been to a home game and seen more opposition fans than Carlton fans at the game. And that I think was alarming to me. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how they're going to market it. But my perception of what I've seen in crowds at the games that I've been to for the W this season is it's like it is more social than what it is about football, in my view. It's more of we go there to meet and have a good time together, and there's a game of football on. And I'm curious as to how they improve that to the next level.
Mate, I mean, you look at it, and I've got to say that a country that Paul Hill nails it, marketing's huge. The girls a couple of years ago had a 5-point plan in the football. Now, anyone who's lived in England knows football is a heavily male-dominated sport. It's got a stereotype, beer swilling, council estate, basically me, if I could grow a beard. And I'm proud to be that person. I'm proud. But the people that have embraced it are them people because of how they market it. And the marketing campaign has been to go back to what Dad remembered in the terms of the players would hang around and chat to the fans. The players would train and let the kids come and help kick a football and stuff. It's going back to the roots of the game. And you look, and one of my mates back in Glasgow, he's a big thug. He's got tattoos of anchors, ex-sailor. His best moments is taking his daughters to the Ghosts. And the marketing campaign that hit him it was a real brutal marketing campaign in Scotland, but it was basically a dad being disappointed he had a daughter and seeing his mates with sons, which I think our parents probably had them feelings at the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's dying now, but then that was the thing, you wanted a kid. And the whole thing was you can have these memories with your daughter at this exciting, young, beginning soccer league. And he loves it now. He is massively invested. He goes to more women's games than he does men because his little girl absolutely is turned on. And I feel like that should be our focus of getting young families, young mothers, spend time with your daughters, get your daughters there, because my favourite moment was sat with you and seeing that little girl bust a move to the music. That cheered me up. You know, the music came on and she was bopping away. I love that because they're the moments that we want to be, and this is where AFL is escaping logic. We want to be getting, the aim isn't to make money, the aim is to get more kids into sport. The biggest pandemic in this country and the world is kids are playing Xbox and not going outside. We want to get these little kids falling in love with this. And I think we've missed a real opportunity here to go back to the old roots, small grounds, be in touch with people, more chilled out atmosphere, spending time with our football club and getting to know these players. And I feel like we've gone away from that with the marketing. And Bugs Bell, I disagree that the pride movement's pushing people away. I feel like they are focusing too much and forgetting who they are, and it's getting lost somewhere. It's becoming a competition. And I don't want AFLW to be like the soccer league was at the start in the UK, which was basically Twitter for virtue signalers on grass. I want it to be a place where we go there and we support the girls because we're Carlton Football Club. And this is a new experience. Get the girls, get the kids there, get the young families there. That was a beautiful day, Terry. And what a great moment to have your family there in a game and make some noise. Make some noise and enjoy it. I think the kids would love it. I thought it was a lot more laid back than an AFL game. And I feel like we have totally setting these girls up to fail because Erin Phillips made a comment the other week. 2030, we're pushing for equal pay. I think by 2030, we'll be lucky to have a women's league because you can see that it's not being marketed right and it's not sustainable. And that's sad because these women are working full-time jobs to play the game. And that's not fair on them. And the AFL has ran too quickly with this, all to say they've done it. It's a box-ticking exercise. And human beings are never a box-ticking exercise. And I want to see it. I want to see this time next year, we really push them. And my arguments are, when would Patrick Cripps be asked personal life questions? Even the media treat these women as second-class citizens or novelties. And you listen to the English media talk to women, they don't mention pregnancies. They don't mention their relationships. It's football questions, sport questions. And that is it. And I disagree when people say keep politics out of sport. Politics have been in sport since the Romans, since the Greeks.
Yeah, correct.
It's the way that we expose and create the conversation. My issue is I feel like we are forgetting that this is for everyone and everyone needs to get behind it. I'm telling you now, Erin Phillips, the game won't be here in 2030. Another team comes in, it's going to be too much money on the AFL. What do you think they cut back? The men's league or the women's league? It's going to be the women, unfortunately, because that's the nature of the beast. Until someone takes it serious in AFL House, it's always going to be a subpar competition.
Yeah. My concern is that in this fight for diversity, we've somehow been led down a path to not have a diverse opinion. And sometimes it can be a little bit of be careful what you say about the AFLW. I'm there to watch the football when I go, nothing else. I'm there to watch the football. I'm there to be there with my sister, there to hang out. I feel a different, and maybe I shouldn't compare the crowd to watching the men compared to watching the women. I look at it as all under one umbrella, going to watch the Carlton Football Club. That's how I experience it. I'm all for diversity, but I do feel that we are teetering on this path of be careful what you say. We want diversity, but we want diversity without the diversity of opinion. And that's where I just have a bit of a fear. That's all. And I think there's a slippery slope. I think it's time to evolve and grow. I think we've gone through the game changers era of this group. They're not they are game changers. It's historical what's happened. We've got so many more girls playing footy now and continuing to keep that dream alive to pursue it as a career potentially. I think now is the time we've got 18 clubs. Now is the time to go one level further into performance. Yes, well done. You finished the season with more wins than last year. Last year was so far beyond acceptable. This year was poor, but also because of the context of what happened last year and the response and the injuries, I can tick it off. I just hope they don't get complacent with what happened.
They're making a big mistake. There was a great article. You can go and see it. My old university did it, Birmingham University. And they actually found that boys and girls born after 2005, 14% had women's soccer in the UK as one of their most watched sports. That they classified their team as a women's team, right? Which was up from 2% of the other age brackets. So you have now got the generation now that are going to school, leaving school. They're the ones that are going to take AFLW to the next level. Now, my issue is I agree. I come from Rangers. Politics is a massive part of the club. And eyes and learning social issues comes from that club. Michael Thomas with the racism. That was the first time a northerner like me learned racism because Indian and Pakistani kids emigrated in the 80s. We were so used to it, we didn't actually think it existed in the north of England because most of my friends were Indian. So I didn't understand. I'd heard of racism, never seen it at play. Sexism. I love my nana. And I was taught to never raise my voice or fists at a woman. So sexism didn't exist in my tiny brain. Rangers exposed that when the Glasgow girls got together. They're the first moments that we get to create. And it's not indoctrinating your kids. Having kids myself, my kids see Darcy Vesio say that they creates a discourse of conversation. What does that mean, Daddy? That's all it does. It doesn't turn my kid into a lefty or woke or what other weird Twitter names we've got. What's the one that really annoys me at the moment? Cooker. Fuck does that mean? That's something I put my toast in. Grow up. Right? But it creates the discourse. But my problem is if you alienate everyone, there's the problem. And the girls need support, love and affection. They need us there. And when you start, I see the media do it, comparing it to the AFL. It's never going to be like fucking AFL. We've got 150 years head start on them. What they need to do is really promote us getting down there. And you look at the UK, the 6-point plan they released, fantastic. Creating a social footprint that was inclusive, but more important, showcasing the girls' skills and their commitment to the game. So people could see this isn't a political exercise. These girls want to play football. They want to follow in the footsteps of their dads and their brothers. And they changed the narrative, not support us because we're girls, support us because we need you, right? The second big part of it was creating, and Debbie nails it, creating their own identity, not being part of the men's brigade, being their own thing. We're not the female David Beckham. We're Ella Toon, an example of a female footballer. That's what we need to do. And the big thing for me was change how the media treat the women. And that was a big thing because in the UK, going back 10 years, how does your boyfriend feel about you playing football on a weekend? There was them led questions, that Phil bigotry. Do you know what I mean? That men would ask women questions that made no sense. Do you know what I mean? That only you'd ask a woman. You wouldn't ask Ronaldo, how does your missus feel about you playing football at Al Nassr on a Saturday? That's what needs to change, because you listen to the media talk to the women. When would you hear Patrick Cripps be asked about his sexual relationship? Or when would he be asked about what he's doing in his personal life? They'd ask him about football. When he's had a bad game, it's because he's not played good football. That's what we need to do. And we've also got to remember, and this is something that I used to teach my high-level girls in golf. If you want equality, expect the equal criticism, because that comes with the part of the course.
Well, that shows respect by being criticised. I think by being criticised equally, you're showing a respect.
Mate, spot on. And Peter, to answer your question, I totally disagree. Social issues, why would they? Like, this is my forte. Why would social issues, do you know how easy it is to manipulate a child to believe something? It's very easy. Do you know what I mean? Because kids take yes and no as an answer. So social issues, I think, are very important out of the ground, because you only know what your bubble teaches you. So do you know what I mean? For me, Michael Thomas coming out and saying his car was smashed up and it said NIGGER, go home, and him crying, talking about he couldn't take his kids to school, deeply affected me as a kid. It was the first time I'd seen it. He was a hero of mine. And I was like, wow, this goes on to that level? I think it's deeply important that we have these talks. I also think it's deeply important that people are entitled to their views and we don't use phrases like cooker, lefty, leftard, or whatever else because we disagree. I think it opens up discourse where we can talk as adults, because as far as I'm concerned, my granddad didn't lay his life down, right, and nearly die so you could all be free, so you could use a fucking retweet. He died so you had power in your voice. That's what he risked. He risked death so you were man enough, woman enough to speak and not get into aggression, which few people master, but many people bastardize. So for me, I think it's very important we have these conversations as men and women and adults and go,
Correct.
okay. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Okay, you're pro-LGBTI. I'm not. Okay, well, are you going to hurt people? No. Okay, move on with your life. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I'm glad we spoke about it. I think it would be a disservice to not keep having the conversation. I do feel like we need to remember what brings us together, and that is the club, that is the football. I dream of a day where the monogram implies inclusivity. Like for me, BA, it is implied. I don't need to change the color of the B and the A for people to know that this is an inclusive place. We have men here, we have women here, we have people from all sorts of backgrounds, whether that be religious backgrounds, spiritual backgrounds, sexual backgrounds. It's implied. It's an inclusive place. I dream of a time where that's the case for the club as well. But I also do understand the visibility piece. I guess I'm just looking forward to that point in time where it's implied that we are inclusive and we're bound by the Carlton Football Club, not by the off sections of who we identify with.
And Bugs Bell nails it, right? Somewhere between Bugs Bell and Peter V is what I'm getting at, right? 100% you do alienate people. And you know why you're being alienated? Is what Jack says. Sometimes things come across as being lectured. And that is my big concern with the planet now. We live in a generation of screenshots and stuff like that. But when I do talks with kids who are disaffected and disadvantaged and go in there and speak to them, the big thing I say to them is, do you, when you're on the playground or when you're playing with your mates, worry about 1, who was the last person he slept with. 2, worry about which god he worships. 3, worry about his family, his past, or anything. Or do you judge who you're playing football with today as the connection you have as a human being, first and foremost? And Bugs Bell nails it. When you're at the ground, the most powerful thing I ever saw was when Rangers got rid of all their subsections and created We Are Rangers, We Are the People campaign, which was all the subsections in one thing. And it was so true that you would look over and there was an Islamic male, right? He was there cheering on Rangers. You look next to you, there was a single mother. You looked in front of you and there was a homosexual male. There was 2 lesbian couples in front of you. But one thing mattered. You were wearing your blue Rangers shirt. For that moment in time, your sex, your race, your religion meant fuck all. And you were one. One. Right? One. And that's it. And that is the problem. And Jack, you nail it. People are horrible because people won't have the conversation. No longer do we have context in society. No longer do we have anyone making a mistake. Look what happened when we did this talk about Elijah Hollands. People wanted a public execution coming back. Humans are built on one simple principle, right? And that is it. They talk less. My pop used to say something that I want to leave you all with. God made you with 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth for one fucking reason. You use these twice as much as you ever use this. And if you live like that, you may die long enough to know fucking summit. And he was spot on. And people need to look. So when people are posting shit, look with your eyes and go, why do you keep posting this? Why are you calling me a leftard? Why are you calling me sexist? Probably because they're hiding something themselves. Because I'm telling you right now, there's not many people I know who are actual racist and can do harm who would be ever offended by that. They'd actually be like, way, I'm a racist, yes, lads. Or they'd be proud, right? So, idiots. But let's create conversation. And I'll tell you what, who is the most wonderful human being you can have a conversation with, if you have any questions about the LGBTI, is Dave Gould, a man whose story, man to man, regardless of the sexuality, I'm just going on the sex here, as a man, his role and his journey to my football club, for me, is inspiring, and how he's lived and what he's gone through as a human being, for me, is truly awe-inspiring, and I doff my cap to him. And a wonderful human being. And he is a person that's not going to criticize you. He's going to tell you your story. And under the day, as a gypsy male, I hate that term as well. It's derogatory, but I don't mind people using it. I can tell you, we learned by sitting around a fire, sharing life experiences, and that's how we got wiser. And we need to get rid of these stupid woke signals, or that's woke. How about just be human and have a fucking conversation? Be amazing what you learn.
That is a great way to end things, mate. Philosophy abroad.
Just be good to each other and stronger together. We're all, look,
well,
Bugs Bell, anyone gets stabbed in the neck in this chat, we all bleed the same. You're not going to drink that blood and go, Pom was English. You probably will do, though, because it'll have a high iron content. But spot on. We're all the same, man. Labels divide. Spot on, Debbie. We are all people. That's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Well, that's us for tonight. Thanks very much for joining us. Enjoy the cup tomorrow. Pommy, are you into the cup, the Melbourne Cup?
You're opening a philosophical...
Spoiler alert, I couldn't care less.
Honestly, I don't like animal sport. And it's nothing like because of cruelty. I don't get it. I just don't get why you want to do something that isn't your own volition.
Yeah, fair. Well, enjoy the day off anyway. And we'll see you guys next Monday night. Go Blues.
Peace, love, light. Make sure you